everything. What if I told you that just 1 hour a day, 60 minutes of undistracted, purposeful focus could completely transform your life? Not tomorrow, not next year, but starting today. Everything. Imagine the clarity, the progress, the unstoppable momentum that builds when you give yourself this simple, non-negotiable gift. In the next hour, everything. You're going to learn how to reclaim your time, master your mind, everything, and become the person you've always known you could be. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that you've spent years moving, working, and thinking everything. Yet your life hasn't changed in the ways you hoped. You feel restless, maybe a little frustrated, as if the world is passing by while you're stuck trying to catch up. Everything. You're busy, always busy, but somehow the progress you want, the growth you crave, feels just out of reach. Now, picture this, everything. What if the secret to breaking free from that cycle didn't involve working harder, longer, or faster, but simply working differently? What if the key wasn't more time, everything, but more focus? Just 1 hour a day of intentional, undistracted effort. That hour devoted to the things that truly matter has the power to reshape your life. Everything. It's easy to underestimate an hour. When you think about transformation, your mind often jumps to grand gestures, long hours at the gym, all-nighters building a business, everything, or months of painstaking effort that feel like they'll never end. But real change doesn't always come in huge leaps. It often comes in small, deliberate steps, repeated consistently. Everything. 1 hour a day may sound like a tiny fragment of your 24-hour world, but it's enough to ignite momentum that compounds over time. Let's put it into perspective. Everything. If you spent one focused hour every day learning a skill, practicing a craft, or pursuing a goal, by the end of a year, you'd have over 300 hours invested in your growth. Everything. That's more time than most people spend distracted scrolling or stuck in habits that lead nowhere. Everything. 300 hours might just be the difference between being stuck where you are now and becoming the person you've always imagined yourself to be. Think about a master musician, everything, an athlete, or a writer you admire. They didn't become extraordinary by dabbling here and there when inspiration struck. They devoted themselves to consistent practice, everything, and they didn't need to spend every waking hour perfecting their craft. It was the focused, everything, intentional time, the 1 hour when the world faded and their attention became absolute, that built mastery. What we're talking about isn't an all or nothing approach, everything. It's the quiet power of single-minded focus. It's the difference between scattering your energy and channeling it where it counts. Now, let's make this real for you. Imagine your day. Everything. Perhaps you wake up, rush through a shower, gulp down a coffee, and dive into notifications, emails, or work tasks. Time slips by, and before you know it, the day is gone. Everything. And your dreams remain untouched. Now, imagine carving out just 1 hour. Not a haphazard hour filled with interruptions, but a sacred hour that is yours alone. Everything. Where your attention is undivided and your energy is fully committed. During that hour, you immerse yourself in what matters most to your growth, whether it's learning, creating, planning, everything, or improving. For that 1 hour, distractions dissolve. Your phone is silenced. Your environment is intentionally arranged. This hour isn't just time spent, it's life invested, everything. I want to tell you a story about a man named Michael. He worked a typical 9-to-5 job, exhausted at the end of every day, everything, thinking he could never pursue his passion for painting seriously. Then, he made a small shift. He dedicated 1 hour every morning to his art, before the office, before the errands, everything, before the noise of life swallowed him. 1 hour. At first, progress was slow, almost imperceptible. But over weeks, Michael began producing pieces that stunned him with their quality, everything. 6 months in, he had a portfolio. A year later, he had sold his first painting. It wasn't luck and it wasn't magic. It was a single hour every day devoted without excuses, everything, without compromise. That hour didn't just change his skill, it changed his identity. He became the kind of person who paints, who creates, who moves toward what matters, everything, regardless of life's chaos. This is the lesson. Transformation doesn't demand monumental effort. It demands consistency and focus. 1 hour a day may seem small, everything, but it accumulates into something unstoppable. It's not about rushing, multitasking, or forcing results. It's about the quality of attention, the depth of engagement, everything, and the commitment to your own growth. Think of it as planting seeds. A single seed may seem insignificant at first, but with regular nurturing, everything, it grows into a strong tree that bears fruit for years to come. It's also important to notice how focusing for 1 hour reshapes your mind, not just your achievements, everything. When you train yourself to immerse completely in one task, you strengthen your attention, discipline, and patience. These are skills that spill into every other area of your life. Everything. You begin to notice things more clearly, make decisions with confidence, and resist the endless tug of distractions. Suddenly, everything. An hour of focus doesn't just build skills or produce results. It changes the way you operate in the world. You begin to act like someone who succeeds, not because you're lucky, everything, but because you've trained your mind to harness its power deliberately. Here's an actionable step. Choose your 1 hour carefully. Everything. Think about what matters most. What will move you forward? What will change the trajectory of your life if practiced daily? Then, protect that hour fiercely. Treat it as non-negotiable. Everything. Remove interruptions. Inform those around you, if necessary, that this time is yours. Begin small. Even if the first week feels awkward, resist the urge to judge yourself. Everything. Consistency is more powerful than perfection. The hour itself will teach you focus, patience, and resilience. Over time, you'll notice subtle shifts. Everything. Tasks that once felt impossible now seem achievable. Your mind feels sharper, and your confidence grows. Consider another example: Sarah, a professional struggling to write her first book. Everything. She tried working whenever she had a free moment, but progress was erratic. Then she set aside 1 hour every evening, dedicated solely to writing. No phone, no emails, everything. No distractions, just her and the page. At first, the words came slowly, but by the end of the month, she had completed several chapters. By the end of the year, everything. She had finished her manuscript. 1 hour a day turned her dream from a vague idea into a tangible reality. Everything. The beauty of one focused hour is that it doesn't require extraordinary circumstances. You don't need a perfect life, a large budget, or unlimited energy. Everything. You only need the willingness to show up consistently, to claim your hour, and to immerse yourself fully. And the emotional payoff is profound. Each hour reinforces belief in yourself. Everything. In your potential, and in the truth that meaningful change is possible, even if it starts with something small. So, as you consider this idea, I want you to reflect. Everything. What is 1 hour in your day that could transform you if devoted fully to your growth? What skill, habit, or dream could you nurture with that hour? It's not theoretical. It's practical. Everything. Actionable. And within your reach. The hour itself becomes a teacher. It teaches you discipline, patience, resilience, everything. And the kind of focus that distinguishes those who dream from those who achieve. And when you add these hours together, week after week, everything, month after month, you'll look back and see a transformation that once seemed impossible. 1 hour a day is deceptively simple. It may seem small, almost insignificant, everything, compared to the vastness of your ambitions. But that's exactly why it works. Massive, unfocused effort often dissipates, burned out before results appear. 1 hour done consistently, everything compounds silently, invisibly, yet powerfully. It builds confidence, skill, and momentum. It builds identity. Everything. It builds a life that aligns with the dreams you've been carrying quietly in your heart. And it all starts with a choice. The choice to focus, to commit. Everything, and to honor yourself for just 60 minutes each day. By now, you might be thinking of excuses, reasons why it won't work, why you're too busy, too tired, too distracted. Everything. And that's natural. But let me remind you, extraordinary lives are not born from circumstances. They're born from small, repeated decisions made in spite of circumstances. Everything. 1 hour a day devoted to your growth is a decision you can make no matter what. And that decision, repeated consistently, is the engine of transformation. Everything. Quietly reshaping your life in ways that no one else can do for you. Focus isn't some mystical gift reserved for a chosen few. It isn't something you either have or don't. Everything. It's a skill, a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows stronger with deliberate, consistent practice. But here's the thing most people get wrong. Everything. They think focus is just about forcing themselves to pay attention. That's not it. Real focus starts with understanding the environment around you. And the environment inside you. Everything. If your mind is noisy and your surroundings are chaotic, no amount of willpower is going to make you productive. Everything. The first step in transforming your life through 1 hour of focus a day is learning how to eliminate distractions and find your zone. Let's start with the obvious: technology. Everything. Notifications, pings, alerts that constantly demand your attention. Every time your phone buzzes, your brain takes a little detour, even if you don't consciously check it. Everything. That detour might only take a minute, but those minutes pile up, fragment your thinking, and break the flow of your focus. Everything. I want you to try something simple, something radical in today's always connected world. Turn off your notifications, mute your apps, close the tabs that aren't necessary. Everything. And for the hour you dedicate to focus, give yourself permission to step outside the constant stream of other people's demands. Your time is yours. This is your space. Everything. This hour belongs to you and the work that moves your life forward. Now, some of you might be thinking, that sounds easy for you to say, but my life is too busy. Everything. I can't just ignore messages. And I get it. Life is full of responsibilities, and sometimes your work actually depends on being reachable. Everything. But here's a shift in thinking that changes everything. Focus isn't about ignoring the world forever. It's about creating sacred pockets of uninterrupted attention. Everything. You wouldn't try to train your body at the gym while constantly running errands, right? Your mind is no different. It needs a clear space, a dedicated environment, free from interruptions. Everything. In order to perform at its best, even in a busy schedule, you can find 1 hour. Maybe it's early in the morning, maybe it's late at night, where the world fades and your work, everything, your growth, your ideas take center stage. Your physical environment matters too. It's subtle, but it's powerful. A cluttered desk, a messy room, everything. Even a chaotic digital desktop can quietly erode your ability to concentrate. Think about it. Every item that competes for your attention, even subconsciously, everything, steals a fraction of your mental energy. Take a few minutes before your focus hour to organize your space. A clear desk, a comfortable chair, a quiet corner. These are not luxuries. Everything. They are tools for mastery. And here's a tip: many people overlook: light and sound have an enormous impact on your concentration. Natural light helps alertness. Everything. While soft background sounds, like instrumental music or ambient noise, can enhance focus. Experiment and find what conditions allow you to sink into deep work without resistance. Everything. But physical changes are only half the battle. Your mind needs preparation too. You can have the perfect environment, but if your thoughts are scattered, worries about the day, everything, tasks you haven't completed, conversations replaying in your head, your focus hour will struggle to take hold. That's why mental priming is essential. Before you start everything, take a few moments to breathe, to center yourself. Close your eyes and visualize the work you're about to do, the clarity you're seeking, the progress you're determined to make. Everything. Give yourself permission to leave distractions behind, not permanently, but for this hour, fully and completely. In that small but powerful act, you reclaim control over your mind. Everything. You're telling yourself, I am the master of my attention. I decide where it goes. I want to share a story about a friend of mine, someone who struggled with focus for years. Everything. She was brilliant, creative, full of ideas, but she constantly felt overwhelmed. She would sit down to write, only to find herself scrolling social media, answering emails, everything, or jumping between half-finished projects. She told me once, almost frustrated, I just can't focus. It's like my brain won't let me. I suggested she try a simple experiment. Everything. 1 hour, no distractions, no phone, no tabs, just her and her writing. The first day she couldn't do it. Her mind wandered. Everything. Her anxiety about missed notifications kept pulling her out of the zone. But she tried again the next day, and the next. Within a week, everything. She noticed something remarkable. That hour became sacred, and during it, her ideas flowed like a river she could finally step into. In a month, everything. She had written more than she had in the past 6 months combined. Focus wasn't magic for her. It was consistent practice. Everything. A deliberate choice to protect her attention and create the right conditions. Another key element of finding your zone is rhythm. Everything. Your brain has natural peaks and valleys of energy throughout the day. You might notice that some hours you feel alert, creative, and unstoppable, while other hours drag. Everything. Filled with distraction and fatigue. Pay attention to this. Schedule your focus hour when your energy is naturally high. For many people, this is in the morning. Everything. Before the chaos of the day sets in. For others, it might be late at night when the world quiets down. Experiment. Your focus hour should align with your personal rhythm. Everything. Work with your biology, not against it. When you do, your focus becomes effortless, not forced. Everything. There's also a mindset shift that takes your ability to concentrate from good to extraordinary. Most people believe focus is about trying harder. Everything. But focus is less about effort and more about intention. When you sit down for your hour, commit to the purpose of that hour. Ask yourself, everything. What is the single most important thing I want to accomplish in this time? What action, thought, or insight will move me forward? When your hour is guided by clarity of purpose, distractions lose their power. You are no longer scattered, reacting to everything around you. You are proactive, deliberate, and in command. And here's the beauty of it. Once you start protecting your hour, your brain begins to crave it. It becomes a reward system in reverse. Instead of dopamine chasing distraction, your mind experiences satisfaction in deep focus and creation in progress. This builds confidence too, because every hour you spend fully engaged, undistracted, proves to yourself that you are capable, disciplined, and in control. And as that confidence grows, it feeds back into your work, making your focus stronger, sharper, and more resilient. Focus is also deeply emotional. It feels good. It feels empowering. That sense of control over your attention brings calm in a world that constantly demands more than you can give. You start to feel grounded, not because the world has slowed down, but because you have chosen your own pace, your own priorities. And with that calm clarity comes creativity, productivity, and a quiet joy that can't be found in business or multitasking. It's the difference between feeling like a hamster on a wheel and feeling like a conductor orchestrating your own life. So as you approach this 1 hour focus habit, remember these guiding principles: eliminate unnecessary interruptions, create a physical space conducive to concentration. Prepare your mind with intention, align your focus with your natural energy, and anchor every session in purpose. Think of it as building a fortress for your attention. A place where nothing can enter without your permission, a space that nurtures your best work, your best ideas, and your best self. And within this fortress, you'll discover a freedom that most people never experience: the freedom to control your mind, to direct your energy, and to create extraordinary results with a simple practice each day. You may have tried building habits before and failed. You've told yourself, tomorrow I'll start, only to wake up the next day and find that the day slipped through your fingers. You've felt the frustration of knowing what you want, of seeing the life you imagine in your mind, but struggling to turn that vision into reality. The truth is, the problem is not with you. It's with the approach. Most of us think habits are about discipline alone, about sheer willpower. But real habit building, the kind that changes everything, doesn't come from forcing yourself. It comes from connecting your actions to who you are, to your identity, and giving yourself a purpose that makes your actions inevitable. Let's start with the idea of 1 hour. Just 60 minutes. That's all it takes each day to transform your life if approached correctly. Imagine it not as an hour of work, not as a chore, but as an hour where you become the person you want to be. This is not about squeezing more tasks into your day or punishing yourself for wasted time. This is about designing a daily ritual that aligns with your identity. And the moment you do that, the resistance fades. You don't have to force yourself anymore. You act because it's who you are. Think about someone like Serena Williams. She didn't rise to the top through random practice sessions or occasional bursts of effort. Every day, for years, she dedicated herself to her craft in a focused, disciplined way. But even more importantly, she saw herself as a champion, someone who shows up no matter what. The habit wasn't just practice, it was part of her identity. That's the secret. The habit sticks when it becomes a declaration of who you are, not just what you want. To build a habit that transforms your life, start small. Don't try to commit hours of unfocused work that leaves you drained. Start with 1 hour and make it sacred. Decide when and where it will happen, and protect that time like it's the most valuable asset in your life, because it is. Treat it as a meeting with yourself, an appointment with your future. No distractions, no excuses, no negotiations. If you need to, set a boundary. Tell the world, this hour is mine, and mean it. The first days will be the hardest. You'll feel resistance. You'll feel your mind wandering, your body restless, even your own doubts whispering that it's too much, too late, or not worth it. That is normal. The key is to act in spite of it, not against it. When you fight the resistance, you are not only completing a task, you are training your identity. Every time you show up, you are telling yourself, I am the type of person who prioritizes growth, who takes control, who becomes stronger. And over time, showing up becomes automatic. The resistance doesn't disappear entirely, but it becomes background noise. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. Everything. Many people think that building habits requires extraordinary effort, but in reality, habits are forged in the small, repeated actions. Imagine planting a seed. You water it not for 1 week, everything, but day after day. The growth is invisible at first. You may not notice it after a month. But if you keep going, suddenly one day you look and see a tree. That's how daily focus works. Everything. 1 hour every day compounds into skill, clarity, and achievement beyond what you can imagine. Now, let's talk about making it effortless. Everything. The trick is to anchor your habit to something that already exists in your day. If you brush your teeth every morning, tie your hour of focus immediately after that. Everything. If you drink your first cup of coffee, let that be the trigger to start your session. Everything. Linking your new habit to existing routines creates a chain of behavior that your brain can easily follow. This is habit stacking, and it works because it doesn't rely solely on motivation. Everything. Motivation comes and goes, but routines can carry you forward even when the spark fades. Your environment also matters more than you realize. If you try to build a habit in chaos, everything, surrounded by distractions, you are fighting an uphill battle. Create a space that supports focus. Remove the phone, turn off notifications, close unnecessary tabs, clear the clutter. Everything. When you walk into that space, your mind immediately knows, this is the place where I become better. Your environment becomes a silent partner in your growth. Everything, nudging you toward success without argument. Let's make it even more concrete. Pick one goal that matters to you. Not 10, not 20, just one. Maybe it's learning a skill. Everything. Finishing a project, or improving your health. Dedicate this hour to that goal. Focus exclusively on actions that directly move you forward. Everything. The moment you try to multitask or dilute your energy, the habit loses power. Think of your hour as a laser beam. The energy is concentrated, intentional, unstoppable. Everything. And because it's tied to a goal that excites you, it no longer feels like discipline alone. It feels like purpose. Everything. One of the most inspiring truths about habits is that they shape your identity faster than motivation alone. If you want to be a writer, write daily. If you want to be a leader, everything. Make decisive, focused choices daily. The hour you invest each day becomes a statement about who you are, not just what you're doing. An identity-driven habits are unshakable. Everything. When you see yourself as the kind of person who acts, who grows, who commits, failure is no longer permanent. It's just feedback. You try again, you adjust, and you continue. Everything. Let me share an example. There's a man I once read about who wanted to become a skilled pianist. He didn't have hours of free time, just 30 minutes a day. Everything, but he played every day without exception. At first, his progress was slow. His fingers stumbled. The melodies were imperfect. Everything. But because he committed to daily practice and made it part of his identity. I am a pianist. He kept going. Years later, those 30-minute sessions had multiplied into mastery. Everything. He didn't get there overnight, and he didn't need luck. He got there because of a habit, carefully built and fiercely protected. Another essential element is reflection. Everything. At the end of each week, take a moment to look back at your hour of focus. Celebrate what went well. Notice what distracted you. Adjust your approach. Everything. Reflection transforms your habit from a mechanical routine into an evolving practice. It keeps you engaged and aware, and it strengthens the connection between action and identity. Over time, everything. You'll notice that this hour doesn't just improve your skills or your knowledge. It reshapes your mindset, your self-respect, and your confidence. Finally, everything. Give yourself permission to enjoy the process. Habits are often framed as discipline or sacrifice, but in reality, a powerful habit brings satisfaction. It creates momentum. Everything. It reminds you that you are capable. You are not punishing yourself. You are investing in the most important project of all, yourself. Everything. The first time you complete an hour without distraction, you'll feel it a surge of accomplishment, a spark of excitement, a sense of alignment with your highest potential. Everything. And that feeling is addictive in the best way. It keeps you coming back day after day until focus becomes second nature. So remember, everything. The secret to building the habit that changes everything is not sheer willpower. It's about identity, purpose, and deliberate action. Everything. It's about designing your life so that showing up each day is inevitable. 1 hour sacred and focused is enough. It compounds in ways that are invisible at first. Everything, but unstoppable over time. And as you protect that hour, as you make it yours, you will watch your life transform. Not in leaps and bounds, but steadily, inevitably, powerfully. Everything. When we talk about focus, most people imagine discipline, grit, and sheer willpower. And while those are part of the equation, the deeper, everything, more powerful form of focus isn't just about grinding harder. It's about understanding what truly matters, learning to distinguish between the noise and the signal, everything, the urgent from the important, and the distractions from the actions that actually move the needle in your life. Every day, we are bombarded with tasks, notifications, messages, everything, and obligations that pull us in countless directions. Some of them are small, necessary tasks, others are trivial, everything. Habitual distractions that keep us busy but never get us closer to the life we dream about. And yet, most of us spend hours each day reacting, not creating, everything, spinning in a cycle of motion without meaningful progress. The truth is your time is precious, your energy is limited, everything. And the only way to transform it into something extraordinary is to focus on what actually matters. Imagine for a moment a sculptor standing before a massive block of marble, everything. The stone is heavy, imposing, and full of potential. A casual observer might think the sculptor's work is slow, painstaking, or even inefficient. But the sculptor knows something critical. Everything, every strike, every chisel, every small, deliberate action is aimed at revealing the masterpiece already hidden inside the stone. Everything. If the sculptor were to strike randomly or chase distractions, the marble would be ruined, the vision lost. Life works the same way. Your daily actions are the chisels, everything. Your focus is the intention guiding them, and the masterpiece you are carving is the life you are building. Everything. Every moment you spend on trivial tasks is a strike away from the vision you truly desire. High achievers, the ones who consistently create impact, understand a simple principle. Everything. Not all work is equal. Some tasks are busy work, answering unnecessary emails, scrolling through social media, attending meetings that lead nowhere. Everything. These things may feel productive because they fill your day, but in reality, they are time thieves disguised as tasks. The truly important work, the work that propels you forward, everything, requires focus, intention, and sometimes courage. It's the project you've been avoiding because it feels too big, everything. It's the conversation you've been delaying because it's uncomfortable. It's the skill you've been procrastinating on because mastering it requires effort and persistence, everything. Focusing on what truly matters means saying no to the noise and yes to the actions that align with your vision. Let me give you a practical example. Everything. Consider someone starting a business. They wake up every morning with good intentions, but before they know it, hours have passed. They've been replying to messages, everything, tweaking minor design details, reading blogs, attending networking events that feel mandatory but provide little value. At the end of the day, they wonder why progress is slow, everything, why results are inconsistent. Contrast that with another person equally busy, everything, who spends just 1 hour a day on the one task that will most advance their business, reaching out to ideal clients, writing their core content, or refining their offer, everything. That hour is protected, uninterrupted, and filled with intention. Over time, that focused hour compounds into results that the first person can only dream about, everything. 1 hour doesn't sound like much, but the multiplier effect of deliberate, focused action is profound. This principle isn't limited to work or business, everything. It applies to every aspect of life. In relationships, it means dedicating quality time to the people who matter most instead of giving half attention while scrolling your phone, everything. In personal growth, it means investing time into developing skills, habits, or knowledge that serve your long-term goals rather than fleeting distractions, everything. The difference between a life of achievement and a life of regret is often not talent, resources, or luck. It's where your focus lands, everything. Are you spending your energy reacting to every small demand, or are you consciously choosing the few things that will define your legacy? The challenge, of course, everything, is that deciding what truly matters isn't always obvious. Life throws multiple priorities at us simultaneously, everything. And it's easy to justify doing something trivial just because it feels urgent or because someone else expects it. That's why clarity is essential, everything. Start by asking yourself a few critical questions. What is my vision? What are the actions that will bring me closer to it? Which tasks are necessary and which are distractions? Everything. Be brutally honest with yourself. This process requires reflection, self-awareness, and the courage to eliminate tasks, habits, and even relationships that no longer serve your path. Everything. And remember, focus isn't about doing more, it's about doing less better. Once you identify the actions that matter, you need a method to protect your focus. Everything. One effective strategy is time blocking. Set aside your dedicated hour, your golden hour, for the task that has the highest impact. Turn off notifications, silence your phone, everything. Close unrelated tabs. This is your sacred time, and the world will survive without you attending to every small demand during it. Everything. It may feel uncomfortable at first because your brain is conditioned to constant stimulation, but as soon as you experience the flow of uninterrupted work, everything, you'll realize why this hour is more valuable than any scattered effort across an entire day. Another tool is prioritization. Not everything important fits neatly into 1 hour. Everything. So you need to rank your tasks, focus on the top 1 or 2 that create the most value and defer, delegate, or eliminate the rest. For example, if your goal is to write a book, everything. Writing 1 chapter is far more impactful than editing, formatting, responding to social media comments, or adjusting minor stylistic details. Everything. The temptation to do small tasks is strong because they give immediate satisfaction, a false sense of productivity. But growth, true growth, comes from tackling the work that matters most, everything, even when it's uncomfortable or slow. And let's talk about energy management, because focus isn't just a mental skill, it's physical. The quality of your hour depends on your energy, everything. If you attempt your focused work when exhausted, distracted, or stressed, it won't yield the same results. That's why rituals, morning routines, movement, hydration, everything, and short preparation exercises can prime your mind and body to perform at their best. Even a small ritual, everything, like 5 minutes of deep breathing or setting a clear intention for the session, signals to your brain that this hour is sacred, purposeful, and non-negotiable. Everything. Stories of extraordinary people are full of this principle. Authors, inventors, and entrepreneurs often succeed not because they work 24 hours a day, everything, but because they recognize the power of focused action on what truly matters. J.K. Rowling, writing the Harry Potter series while navigating a challenging personal life, everything, carved focused hours each day to bring her vision to life. Elon Musk famously breaks his schedule into 5-minute blocks to ensure his focus lands on high-impact decisions. Everything. Each of these examples shows that deliberate focus, not endless motion, is the key to achievement. It's also important to embrace patience. Everything. The results of focusing on meaningful actions rarely appear immediately. The person who writes their book, builds their business, or masters a skill experiences compounding growth. Everything. 1 focused hour per day might feel small, but over weeks, months, and years it creates momentum that transforms not only what you accomplish but who you become. Everything. This is the subtle magic of focused effort. It's quiet at first, almost imperceptible, but once it reaches a tipping point, it carries you forward faster than you imagined. Finally, everything. Remember the emotional dimension. When you focus on what truly matters, something profound happens inside you. You feel clarity, purpose, and alignment. Everything. Your mind stops racing in endless circles. Your energy is no longer scattered, but directed. Motivation grows because your actions are meaningful, not arbitrary. Everything. Each completed hour reinforces your identity as someone who creates, someone who moves forward, someone who takes control of their life. Everything. This internal shift is just as important as the external results because it turns focus into a lifestyle, a natural way of being rather than a forced discipline. Everything. So, as you prepare to take your next step, think about the 1 hour you can dedicate tomorrow uninterrupted to the thing that matters most. Not 20 things, not 10 distractions, everything. Not the busy work that fills everyone else's day. Just 1 hour of deliberate, intentional focus. Protect it, honor it, and watch how it begins to transform the trajectory of your life. Everything. Every minute you spend aligned with your vision compounds, becoming something greater than you could have imagined. Everything. And this is where the real power of focus lies, in choosing the important, embracing the uncomfortable, and committing to the few actions that define your life. Everything. Imagine waking up tomorrow with a simple promise to yourself: 1 hour. Just 60 uninterrupted minutes dedicated solely to your growth, your purpose, your vision. Everything. It doesn't sound like much, but let me tell you a truth many never fully grasp: small, consistent actions compound into monumental change. This is not theory. This is life in motion. Everything. And today, I want to take you on a journey through real transformation so you can see exactly how that single hour, when treated with reverence, discipline, everything, and intention, can reshape your life. Take Sarah, for instance. Sarah had a dream of writing a book. Every day she felt too busy, too distracted, too exhausted. She would tell herself, everything. I just don't have time. And yet, one day, she made a decision. She would carve out 1 hour each morning before the chaos of her day began. She would sit at her desk, close the door, everything, silence her phone, and focus on writing. At first, it felt awkward. 10 minutes would fly by before she realized she had drifted off, thinking about emails, grocery lists, everything, or the endless obligations of life. But she persisted. Day by day, that hour became sacred. Week after week, she produced pages. Months later, everything. What seemed impossible, a completed manuscript, became real. That 1 hour, consistently applied, had compounded into her dream realized. This is the power of focus. Everything. And it's not limited to writing or creativity. Think about your health. James, a middle-aged office worker, wanted to get fit but struggled with motivation. Everything. He didn't have hours to spend at the gym, but he committed to 1 hour a day. Not randomly, but intentionally. Everything. 30 minutes of focused exercise and 30 minutes of meal prep planning or mindful stretching. He tracked his progress, noted improvements, and adjusted his routines. Everything. In just 3 months, his energy levels soared, his body reshaped, and his confidence skyrocketed. And the most important part, he had done it without burning himself out. That single, everything, purposeful hour became his secret weapon. You see, transformation doesn't always demand grand gestures. It demands consistency, clarity, and deliberate focus. Everything. And here's the fascinating part. Our brains are wired to reward effort, but only when that effort is sustained and directed. Scattered energy is invisible. Focused energy is unstoppable. Everything. Think about the sculptor chiseling away at marble. One stroke may seem inconsequential, but day after day, week after week, the image begins to emerge. That's exactly what your hour can do. Everything. Now, let's talk about mindset, because action alone isn't enough. Real transformation begins with a shift in perspective. Most people see an hour and think, everything, it's not enough. But consider this: 60 minutes per day equals 365 hours per year. 365 hours focused on skill building, vision crafting, self-improvement, everything, or goal execution. That is more time than many people spend on their careers, and yet so few use it intentionally. Everything. When you shift from "it's just an hour" to "this is my hour of power," everything changes. Your choices become deliberate, your priorities sharpen, everything, and your life begins to bend toward the future you want. And it's not always about doing something monumental in that hour. Sometimes it's about reflection, planning, or learning. Everything. Take Michael, a young entrepreneur struggling to get his business off the ground. He dedicated 1 hour every evening to learning from mentors, reading case studies, everything, and reflecting on his daily wins and failures. He didn't see immediate results, but his insights compounded. In 6 months, decisions that once felt overwhelming became simple. Everything. Opportunities he hadn't even imagined began to appear. That 1 hour, quietly applied, rewired his thinking and positioned him for massive success. What I want you to feel now is this: everything. The hour isn't magical. It's not the clock that changes your life. It's the consistent, intelligent use of that time that does. It's you, fully present. Everything. Refusing to let distraction dictate your destiny. And the beauty is, this is achievable for anyone. Whether you're juggling work, family, or endless obligations, you can find that hour. Everything. It may be before the world wakes, or after everyone else sleeps. It may be during your commute, or in a quiet corner of your home. The one isn't as important as the commitment itself. Everything. Let's add another layer: accountability. Humans are social creatures. We thrive when our actions are witnessed, when we share our goals and progress. Imagine telling a friend, a partner, everything, or even yourself at the start of each week, "This hour is mine. This is when I invest in my future." And then keeping that promise. That accountability transforms commitment into ritual, everything, and ritual into identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who doesn't just dream, someone who acts, someone who honors their potential every single day. Everything. Here's a practical strategy for you: start small, but start intentionally. Set a timer for 1 hour. Choose your focus: skill, health, learning, creation. Remove distractions. Everything. Enter a state of full presence. At the end of the hour, reflect on what you achieved, even if it feels minor. Track it, celebrate it, and then do it again tomorrow. Everything. This is how momentum builds, and once momentum builds, the results almost take care of themselves. Now, let's weave in another story, because stories are how we internalize truth. Everything. Maria was a marketing professional stuck in a cycle of mediocrity. She had ideas, ambition, and potential, but her attention was fragmented across meetings, emails, and social media. One day, everything. She experimented 1 hour each morning devoted entirely to strategy development and skill enhancement. She blocked everything else out. Slowly, everything. She started producing ideas that caught the attention of her superiors. Her confidence grew, her reputation shifted. Within a year, everything. She had not only earned a promotion but had become the go-to expert in her field. 1 hour. That's all it took to turn stagnation into exponential growth. Everything. The most profound takeaway here is this: when you honor the hour, you honor yourself. You are saying, my dreams matter, my potential matters, everything. My life is worth the investment. And this isn't motivational fluff. This is a principle observed by high performers across every domain. Athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, everything, scholars. They all understand that the cumulative effect of focused time cannot be overstated. Each hour is a deposit into the account of your future self, a self that is stronger, wiser, everything, and closer to the life you envision. And yes, there will be days when focus feels impossible. Days when distractions scream louder than your intention. But even then, everything. Remember the compounding principle: one imperfectly applied hour is still progress. 1 hour consistently reclaimed builds resilience, mastery, and self-belief. Everything. It transforms your approach to challenges, your patience with yourself, and your ability to act decisively. So, picture it now: 60 minutes a day, a single hour where the world fades, everything, and your potential takes center stage. Imagine the compound effect over weeks, months, and years. Skills sharpened, goals achieved, confidence solidified, dreams realized, everything. And here's the truth: no one else can do this for you. No one can give you the focus, the discipline, the unwavering commitment that lives within you. But you can claim it today, everything, starting with just 1 hour. This is the transformation in action. Not flashy, not instantaneous, but profound, inevitable, and yours for the taking. Those who seize their hour, everything, who treat it as sacred, who focus relentlessly, will look back and marvel at the person they have become, not by accident but by design.